Good morning, everybody. September 28th, the day before Michaelmas, the season, the high festival of the autumn. The year is changing, the days are beginning to get shorter again. And for us in California, of course, that means that the weather is cooling down a bit. Perhaps we hopefully won't have any big fires anymore this year. So glad to be with you again. I hope you all received the autumn newsletter that I sent out on Sunday talking about Michaelmas. And this is also in anticipation of the webinar series that I'm going to be giving on Thursday evenings, 3 presentations on Michaelmas. And if some of you really have never heard of Michaelmas, all the more reason for you to join us and be on this journey to understand the special gifts and challenges of the season of autumn in the perspective of the momentous times that we're living in now. And so now I would love to begin with you. So please take your place in your room. Hopefully you have as much room as I do for you to move in. Hopefully room for 4 steps in front of you, 4 behind. Better yet, if you have 8 steps, that would be give you more room to move. Please start by taking a stretch. And stretch as much as you can for a moment. We want to do our best to get any stiffness out of the muscle. So shake if you like. Touch your feet if you can. Touch the floor if you can. Roll back up, whatever works for you, so that your flowing etheric forces don't get stuck in any of the crampings of your muscles. Roll your shoulders, whatever works for you, and then we're ready for your Eurythmy practice. We begin once again with the peace exercise, awakening to the way that we occupy space. Let me please give you once again the entire imagination. Before we are born, we live in the space as large as the universe. We can imagine ourselves in a great sphere space, touching all of the world with our being. And then as we prepare for birth, we contract and contract from all directions. And we are a ball of light, a powerful presence. Become tiny. This presence of you is laid into the mother womb. And in the mother womb, body grows around you until this body is ready to be born into gravity. It's placed onto the earth to begin with you lie flat. And bit by bit, in the course of the first year, as you learn to use your senses, you are able to sit up. And then you will be able to learn to walk, and to think. But the essential first step is that you become used to 3-dimensional space, which is not the space of the spiritual world. And always remember that here that you are is here in your heart. So let's enliven that imagination with the peace exercise. As you stand straight, imagine the stars above your head, and imagine your star shines right above your head. This inspires you to stand straight. And now, forget that star for a moment and go back into the casual way that you hold your body. And I just invite you to notice what happens when you choose to remember the stars above your head. What it means to stand really straight and responsibly in your body. Now let the light from that star shine down into you as you stand straight. Shine down through the length of you Shine down into your feet. Shine down into the molten core of the earth, and you feel yourself to be a line of light, living light, not just a line that you might draw with a pencil on a piece of paper. No, living light full of presence. This is the first way that you occupy space. And now add to that your widespread arms. You feel that millions of miles below the stars and thousands of miles above the center of the earth is this world of gravity, but also the world where human hearts are united. Spread your arms wide. Feel how in this position you stand in the cross, the sacred cross, and how this makes you vulnerable in your heart, but also open for community. Now there's one more dimension. We remember whenever we go forwards, we are engaged in the sense world. Feel that. The world of the senses, especially the visual space. And now, complete your relation to space by feeling the space behind you. At this moment, even though you keep your eyes open, try not to be looking at your eyes, but feeling through your back. Now, from above, below, right, left, front, back, bring your hands to your heart. Think of the 4 chambers of the heart. Think of them all woven in together inside your heart. Everything that you experience in life is writing itself onto this ball of light that you are. Breathe in and out. Feel how your lungs massage your heart as you take the world into yourself and take it out. Eurythmy invites you for authenticity. That was the warm-up for this exercise. Now this time, move into this cross position right away. And in this position, you're also feeling front and back. And now we'll release ourselves from this place of balance, and we're going to go into the different dimensions. So now you feel the earth is where I have my incarnation. So important to be in gravity. If you can go down on your knees like I am, do. If you cannot go down, you can just clench your arms downwards. Down into gravity, out of where the substance of my body is built. Now, release and go up. Go onto your toes if you can. If you can't, you can just lift your arms up like this. Back to the light above your head. Without looking up, but you feel upwards. And now spread your arms wide. Back and feel your heart open to the natural world, to the human community. And now, imagine to yourself something so beautiful in front of you, something that enchants you. You want to touch and taste and smell. In front of you, the world of the senses constantly are there to teach us and inform us. And go back, spread your arms wide as if they're great wings, and feel the archetypes of all things remain in the spiritual world, even when I'm in the sense world. Honor them. And now bring your hands to your heart. In my heart, all of these things are imprinted. They create the biography of my life's journey. And we'll do this 2 more times. Open wide. All right, if you just, for the next step, if you just push downwards, but if you can go down on your knees like I do it. And go down into gravity from where the body comes. our earth nature, up into lightness from where we have descended, and back to hold the balance in the middle. The world of the senses feeds and nourishes and claims our interest. The world of the archetypes, spiritual beings surround us always. And inside your heart, the world grows you and makes you who you are. Your experiences of your life. And this last time, make your hands expressive. With your hands, you're going to change the world. Method. May peace be below me as I give thanks to the earth. May peace be above me as I remember my starry home. May peace be all around me as I walk through the world. May peace be before me. May peace be behind me. And may peace be within me. And rest. Breathe. With this first exercise, I hope you have already begun to be quiet in yourself and centered. We have the strength of our head, the love of our heart, and the power of our legs. And it's essential that we can use all three of them. And in many, as we talked about this last week, but it's important in Eurythmy to include in our practice conscious walking so that we're able to be really incarnated and not just up here in our heads or in our dreams. Therefore, the second step that we will take will be the practice of conscious walking, threefold walking. We worked on this last week, but please allow me to build it up carefully with you again this time. With every step we take, the earth serves us by giving us our gravity, our ground. For the first time we walk, just walk a few steps across the room, forwards. And notice your process of walking. And backwards again. I'm going diagonal so I can maximize my camera space for you. You can go straight back and forth. Right? Again, earth around me, and I send my etheric and my intention down into my name. Notice where your center of gravity is as you walk. If I walk casually, my center of gravity is down here. This is just for warm up for your spiritual Eurythmy practice. You don't have to do this on your own. But in Eurythmy, we don't want to carry the center of gravity here. We want to carry it in the heart. So try walking back and forth like this, carrying yourself in your heart. Back, and now use the back of your heart to go backwards. Remembering the difference between front space and back space. Let your heart pull you forward. Let your heart take you back. Thank you. Now we'll take that even more deeply by using the Eurythmy way of stepping to carry the heart better. So let's make ourselves aware that with every step we take, we have to move forwards or backwards or sideways. And in order to do that, we have to lift our foot off the floor, move it to where we want to do, and put it on the ground. So as we take our steps forwards, let's be conscious of this, lifting the foot, carrying it, and putting it down on the ground. Next foot, 1, 2, and 3. And again, 1, 2 and 3 in my experience. 2 and 3. When we go this slowly, many people will initially have problems with their balance, but it's really good to overcome that if you can, so that you can really practice feeling your etheric, feeling the warmth of your being going through your legs into the ground. All right, so now I shall begin speaking as we always do in Eurythmy, inwardly, lift, carry, place. Ready, let's begin. Lift your foot, roll it off the floor, carry it forwards, and place it on the ground. Other foot, lift, carry, and place. Lift, carry, and place. Lift, carry, and place. A little bit more. Lift, carry, place. Lift, carry, and place. And now going backwards is extra fun because we need to feel this back space. Can you feel, can you sense where the wall is behind you? How far can you go without running into the wall? And this is truly done in order that we can ground ourselves. But I also like to imagine, perhaps in a playful way, elemental beings, knowing if you will, under the ground, and I'm talking to them as I walk. Now, the next step, and those of you who've been with me for a while know this already, the next step is that when we touch the ground, we touch, here you'll see it, with the toes first, and then roll your foot down on the ground. Lift, place, again, lift, carry, place, and one more time, carry and place. And now we're ready to go backwards, feel the back, lift, carry, place, lift, carry, place, lift, carry, and place, lift, carry, touch your foot with the toes first, carry, and place. When I work with my clients' personal work, you can keep walking while I continue to talk to you a little bit. I don't want to interrupt your breathing. When I work with my patients, we work really hard to see that all 3 phases of the step are equally long, equally penetrated. That's actually something that we do diagnostically to see if a person is balanced in their drive and in their carrying something forward, and then in peacefully grounding something. And there will be many people who are not equally engaged in all 3 parts of this. And this will generally have to do with their personality type. But the threefold walking has to do with establishing the gift of rhythm all the way through your bodies. So work to be equally penetrated with each of these steps. And as we've been practicing, breathe. You'll remember I said last week about my teacher's teacher who had breast cancer. And Rudolph Steiner, her personal teacher, said to her, do threefold walking for an hour every day. Why? So that she could really get this incarnation all the way through. So that the entire body becomes breathing. Now, perhaps in your initial phases, it may seem a bit tedious to do this in a class. We'll just do this like another minute or two. But I want you to experience the beauty of becoming grounded and centered. As you walk, Let's add to this the experience of what's happening in the upper body. At the same time that you're pouring your will into your legs, you're letting your center of gravity be your heart, not your hips, your heart. Your heart is where the eyes of your soul are looking. My heart space is looking behind me, the heart chakra. So imagine you're carrying golden sunlight in your open, loving heart, and the head, very quiet, but you hold it like the head of a king or a queen, noble. Now you're so upright with that, and at the same time, breathing, inhale, release, and inhale, and release through your legs. And rest. Thank you. And now last week, we added to the walking practice something to do with the arms. I don't want you to just do this as I've been doing with you. We're going to add the so-called soul gestures, some of the soul gestures, in our hands as we walk. Because now that we've inspired the legs, we want to also create sensitivity in the hands. And that's the beginning then of later being able to do the vowels and so on with real feeling in your movements. So we're going to go through a small series as we did last week. We're going to begin with the arms like this as we walk. This position we call the position of earnestness. Very sober, upright, possibly a bit stiff, not in an unfriendly way. Earnest. And then after we've done a few steps with that, we'll release into this gesture. Out of the flatness of earnestness, we separate the hands and we will have lightness. And then out of that, we will move as we did last week to this, which we call piety. As if you're carrying the candle, and we need to walk with this candle so that it won't be blown out very carefully. And of course, that candle is a symbol for your heart and your love. And from there, then, last week we went into this. And from there, we're going to go up with the arms. And we're going to hold them a little bit in front of us. And we're going to feel this happiness. Let's go through that. Earnest. Lightness. Piety. Devotion. Lightness. Once again, and remember, these are all connected with moods. So they're never just the positions, but as I do this, I feel myself creating the feeling of piety. Literally, we are pouring soul into our movements. We're ensouling our body. And then lightness or laughter, happiness. All right, will you join me? Let's walk 4 steps forward and backwards with earnestness. Lift, carry, lift, lift, carry, lift, lift, carry, lift, lift, carry, and backwards, carry, lift, lift, and still breathe. even though it's slightly rigid. And all the more will you feel good when you loosen your feelings. Lightness, nice, lift, there. So practice making these feelings in your soul and expressing them through your body. And they always affect them the way that you're walking. Now with the candle. Lift, very, lift, lift, very, lift, very, very carefully. And see how much tenderness. Lift, very, lift, lift, very, lift, lift. And your feet are still equal in all of these parts of the stepping, right? And careful movement, lift, carry, lift, 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 carry, lift, and backward, carry, lift. Lift your arms into light and lift, carry, light. And you see how the stepping very organically becomes more light, certainly more light than it was with earnestness. Happiness all around you. Thank you. As I said, you might choose to do a long time of threefold walking. I told you last week, normally we practice Eurythmy inside. It's much easier to create etheric soul space if you do Eurythmy inside. Threefold walking is one thing that I welcome you to do outside if you want to. And if you do your threefold walking for half an hour, you will want to have a variety of different things to do to make it more interesting. That's one reason I'm giving you these soul gestures, but also because they're part of these immune support lessons that we're going to do, that we really learn to pour soul into our movement. So for our next step, I want to show you two essential soul movements with your hands that we're going to use for the immune support exercises. The first one we're going to do is a gesture for reverence. We just met this one, which is called lightness. The arms are a little bit here in front of you. Now we're going to change and do something that outwardly looks similar, but we're going to do the gesture for reverence. I'd like you here to take your arms back here and try to feel as if your arms are moving and behind you with big wings, like big wings. Well, you don't even need to move them back here. As soon as you feel what I'm telling you, stop looking at the screen and just pour your attention into this back space. Try to feel as if your angel has just come to you, just entered the room and taps you on the shoulder and says, "Can you feel me? Can you feel me behind you? I will give you all the strength and help and support you need." Once again, to make this effective, you really need not to be using your eyes to look at what's in front of you. Don't look up either, but create a feeling that you can see behind you. And in seeing behind you, stars, power from the spiritual world can come pouring into you through the back of your heart, through the back of your head. This is the gesture of reverence. Again, don't look at the camera as soon as you understand what I'm doing here. Now I will give you one more for new one for today. And that's the gesture. In contrast to the one that's above, I want you to feel the space below you and behind. And now behind you, you make a gesture like a cup. Once again, don't use your eyes. Try to look in front of you, but open the eyes behind you and try to feel deep forces like you're making a grail behind you. Asking, please come and fill me. Please come and help me. Give me strength and power. All right, let's go back and forth between the two of them. They're the foundation for the soul exercises that we'll learn in a minute. Once again, above you and behind. Now let your eyes go a little bit blank, if you will. But you're very present. You're feeling reverence for the great world around you. And now lower your arms and feel hope. The strength will pour into you. And again above, reverence, as if you can see the host of spiritual beings, all of them rooting for you, supporting you, loving you. And then down here, a deeper kind of force pouring itself into you, filling you up with strength. Thank you. Now I know some of you have done these exercises with me before. And I'm really bringing it in this way so we can go even deeper with the soul exercises. We're going to step closer to the camera now. Walk down a little bit. Please don't do this also, but I just want you to see how I stand when I'm back here. My eyes are in fact open, but I'm feeling behind me. Or if I'm doing the other one, which is called hoping, I'm here. All my attention is back here, not in front of me. And we're going to try those two with walking. And walk. You behind you. You take 4 steps forward. Walk in this mood of reverence. Carry, lift, lift, carry, and place. And now, drop your arms below you. And feel. Hoping, lift, carry, place, lift, carry, and place. Place. Undress. Thank you. Okay, we'll continue now. Let me remind you or review what we've done so far. Not so much yet, but we did the peace exercise. You can do it 3 times at home, or you could do it just once if you don't have a lot of time. And then take your time to do this wonderful threefold walking in wonderful varieties of ways. And just use that exercise to breathe deeply. One of the greatest and the first gifts of healing that we can do is to learn how to breathe. Many of us have our breath that is too tight. Some are shallow. And this establishes the need for balancing of the heart between inside and out and somewhere. Okay, so we did the peace exercise, we did walking with breathing, and then specifically to bring more soul into our gesture, we have added these soul movements to our threefold walking practice. And that whole work could take you 20 minutes, half an hour, or it could take you 5 minutes or less. But I wanted to spend some intensive time to practice that. Now let's continue on our way here, and let's go into the next exercise after the peace exercise. After the walking comes contraction and expansion. That ball of light that is you came from the stars and now lives forever in your heart. Heart is an infinite center, and it's an infinite periphery. Spread your arms wide. Feel your hands going back. Feel your soul going back to feel your home in the stars. Now bring all of that light and nourishment into the home in your heart. Let the seed become the tiniest place in your heart where a universe is curled up in a ball inside you. And from there, expand, open wide. Grow back to God, like we do in the cycles between awakening into our bodies in the daytime, or living our lives and then falling asleep at night. Or it's like being born, coming into the body. And at the blessed moment of death, going back to the stars. That is the fear. Right? And with the poem that we've used many times, within my heart, brings the light of the sun within my soul, weaves the warmth of the world. I will be the light of the sun. I will feel the warmth of the world. Light of the sun pour into me. And the warmth of the world. Now drop your arms low, low, me. And always at the end of a movement sequence like that, take a moment to reflect before you move on to the next thing. You are light from head to foot, you're breathing. And now you remember we add that to our walking practice. Lift your arms wide. You walk forward, stepping with the toes first, as we just practiced extensively. Go forward, toes first, and contract. Go backwards. Within my heart shines the light of the sun. Within my soul weaves the warmth of the world. I will be the light of the sun. I will feel the warmth of the world. Light of the sun pour into me. And the warmth of the world, love, the room, me. We stand in peace. Thank you. So now we had the peace exercise, we had walking, and then contraction, expansion in standing, and then in walking. Our next step for the immune series, immune support series, We're going to do the soul exercises with the legs. So far, we've learned just one, and that is a gesture for yes and no. Once again, it's to penetrate into these too easily forgotten legs. You learned this last week. You can go back and check it more in length in last week's lesson video. But with our left leg, we're going to make a half circle to the front. Start with a flat foot, move it forward and place it flat on the floor. And when I place, I'm standing with equal balance on both legs. I don't step into the front foot. And with this, I feel, yeah, I agree with that. Yes. This is yes, connection, entering, going forward. Yes. The process of that is to try to let your agreeing energy out of your head, through your heart, and right down into your will. Yes. Yes. Bring expressivity into your foot. Yes. Yes. I agree with you. I can go with you on that. Yeah. Oh, 10 times in a row. Now with the left foot, we do the opposite movement. Go with the right foot and there's that. The right foot, we go back. Again, I stand balanced between 2 feet. And I feel, no, I'm not doing that. So the trick here is to feel that by going back, you step into your own sources. Distancing yourself. No. I want me to make a curve. Now I'll let my arms quiet. No. No. And you have this curve? No. 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 Feel your back. No. Good. Now we'll have both feet together in alternation. We have yes. No. Yes. We do 10 times each foot. No. We're breathing in the soul between agreeing and denying. We're different. No. Yes, your front space, your back space. Yes. No, no. Breathe. The more you do it, the more you release through your chest. Yes. No. Yes. No. Yes. No. Yes. And release. I hope you breathe with that. You should go a little bit quickly with it. That's a therapeutic aspect of it. And I hope you can experience that it helps you to get into your lower body, into your legs, all too often forgotten. Now, last week we also learned the reverence exercise. This is the first of a series of exercises that was given to strengthen our immune forces. It also helps enormously with sleeplessness. And so, which we remember, we'll build it up like we did last week. I see that in my video. Michelle?
She'll be right back. Breathe slowly and deeply and send her lots of love. Cynthia, it looks like the camera is working. And we have some interesting little notices. Oh, there we go. Okay. It's looking for you.
This is where it shouldn't be.
Feels like the camera is working. I'm wondering if it's Zoom. Feels like the camera is working. I'm wondering if it's Zoom.
It is
It's a little bit.
all right, so let's recall what we've done so far. We started with the peace exercise. You can do that one time, or you can do it 3 times as you like. After that, then we do the threefold walking exercise so we can penetrate in our legs and practice having light in the head, gold in the heart, strength in the leg. And we can do that for 2 minutes. We can do that for an hour, whatever works. If you can, and if you want to, use then the opportunity to do these soul exercises with your hands, something you might also practice at different times throughout your day. And then we are going to go to the yes/no exercise, followed by the big exercise we learned last week with awe, reverence, and then the hope will be the last one we learn today. So let's remember the awe, reverence. This is the movement between the front space, the sense world, and the space behind us, the world of the archetypes. Build it up one more time. We begin with this gesture of awe, opening our arms in exactly this angle, not too wide, not too narrow, but in this angle. And feel, after having done all of those exercises with your hands, you can feel as well. Feel your hands lovingly opening to the world. Ah. And then your angel says to you from behind, don't forget us, don't forget the spirit world. And we go, we're in that gesture of reverence we learned before. And then as if you can see a sky full of stars behind your back, you can see them with the eyes in your back, you drop your arms. And now your back can feel shiny, filled with light, with stars, able to reflect and receive from the starry world. And again, I love the world. And here, make an image of something you want to touch, flowers, something you want to smell or taste. Ah, and your angel says, but always remember your sources. When you think of stars and spirits and guides, now feel your back illumined by a sky full of stars. And again, one, rest, one full of stars. Practice imagining things. That's where Eurythmy becomes an art. Imagine flowers. I imagine these stars. Right? And seeing them vividly, they change me. And again, Feel your back. All the way down to your heels. And again. Just turn so you can see my back better. Ah. Reverence. I free myself from the tyranny of the sense world. With each repetition, my back becomes shinier. Light. One more time. Open your mouth. Thank you. And as I said, this is an exercise that was specifically given for strengthening the immune system because it opens us to feeling the space behind it, our sources. And that releases the stress in the eyes, the stresses in the sense world, the addictions, the grabbing, the compulsions, the habit of being only in this front dimension. And as I said, it helps to overcome stress of all sorts and to overcome insomnia, many other things as well. And now we will turn to the Hope exercise, remembering the other new exercise for today, the Hope gesture. Put your hands behind you here. Sometimes I feel like the fairy tale of the star child that some of you might know. I have nothing except what is given to me by Spirit. I reach up and pour Spirit light, Spirit gold through myself, all the way to my feet. This exercise is particularly grounding. I have my legs tight together, and then I lean back slightly in this gesture of hope. I make myself a cup to be filled by Spirit. I lift my arms above my head. I implore the help of light, and as if golden light can flow through me into my head, past my throat, past my heart, past the diaphragm, and all the way into my will, through my legs. At the very end, I almost curl my feet onto the floor. I'm grounded. And again, hope, hoping for help. And again, hope. This is a pure soul gesture, answered by the Eurythmy gesture for the song. And remind yourself, you don't need to speak it. I never speak it for myself. I'm speaking it to intensify your experience. Just feel. I'll speak it again to make it clear for you. It's to feel hope And then you build the movement of ooh. It's a particularly strong ooh because you actually put the backs of your hands together. Some of you know that that's different from the ooh we normally make. But that intensifies it. Then ooh. We lift our arms. We put the backs of the arms together, backs of the hands, with the crown of the head, off the forehead, the throat, the heart, through the diaphragm, into the lower body, and the inner experience continues to the feet. Once again. Put your hands to your hands. And that completes our practice. And so perhaps you'd like to fold your arms. Feel how grounded you are into your legs. Breathe. Thank you. And now, once again, as we did last week, please, if you are new to this practice, I invite you to go ahead and conclude your practice. You have so much to do already. This whole sequence that we're building up. And for those of you who have done some more work with me in the past and know how to do the vowels and the consonants, you're welcome to be on, and we'll take up our Maikayal verse for courage, for grounding, for power. When we get to the new people, you've got so many gifts, and you'll learn the vowels and consonants all in good time. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next week. Bye. Remember, in this season of Michaelmas, we're approaching the fall equinox. It's the season, or we're just moved beyond it. We need to take on the forces of iron. Medically, we often choose to use meteor iron as a homeopathic remedy in this time. And in Eurythmy, we match that with exercises like the A exercise. And in this case, with this alliteration exercise that we started last week. And so if you will, let's pick up where we were last week. Let me recite the poem that we're going to do, which is this. Hail to Michael, brave and bright, who loves and lives in the light. The fierce foe he fights, with swinging sword he smites the dragon dark and dread. Hail, the triumph of the light. And you remember last week, I talked about how we practiced this as if we were bards walking against the wind along the coastline. And we practice in this way so that we really get grounded. We imagine the force of the cosmic creative word, boom, pounding into the material world. In that we envision God the creator bringing this world into being, not just with love, but with power. The word shapes and forms, heals and creates. I will give you a line again, like I did last week, and you repeat it after me. Hail to Michael, brave and bright. Say that. Hail to Michael, brave and bright. This is your hammer. Rounding into earth substance, who loves and lives in the light. Shape those L's as you speak. Who loves and lives in the light. The fierce foe he fights. We use the fire sound F next. The fierce foe he fights. With swinging sword he smites. With swinging sword he smites. The dragon, dark and dread. Use your D powerfully. The dragon, dark and dread. Hail the triumph of the light. That's not alliteration, but we can say it strongly anyhow, really loving the T. Hail the triumph of the light. So let's do that now with stamping, as we did last week. We'll do this several times until we really get this Michael power. Hail to Michael, brave and bright. The alliteration words are the B words, brave and bright. After me, hail to Michael. Now, as you stamp, say the words, brave and bright. L words, who loves and lives in the light, who loves and lives in the light. The fierce foe he fights. Time your mouth. Fierce foe he fights. With swinging sword he smites. Power in your leg. With swinging sword he smites. The one is dark, the dragon, dark and dread. The dragon, dark and dread. Stand tall. Hail the triumph of the light. Hail the triumph of the light. All right. Again, this time, say it with me as we go, instead of repeating it. With me. Hail to Michael, brave and bright, who loves and lives in the light. The fierce foe he fights. With swinging sword he fights. The dragon, dark and red. Hail the triumph of the light. And I hope you feel vigorous with this. Now we'll remember how to do these sounds. We have the B, where you pull your cloak around you, as we worked on last week, remember? You imagine your barred cloak, the wind is blowing hard, and you're going to pull this warm woolen cloak around you as the two B words come. Hail to Michael, brave and bright. And again. Hail to Michael, brave and bright. Notice how at the end of the B, you really grip that cape a little bit. Hail to Michael, brave and bright. Now this L, as we did last week, really use the will part of the L to get power in this. Love and lives in the light. Who loves and go down, lives in the, go down in the light. The fierce foe he fights. This is the powerful F sound. And you're going to flame, creating fire around you as you go. Now watch, the first F that we learned last year, going forward. In this case, we're going to throw thunderbolts down on the ground. Lift your arms up and downwards. The fierce foe he fights. Yes, okay. Let's try again. The fierce foe he fights. Thunderbolts down, fire and flame below you. Michael has the dragon at his feet. Going to meet his fire with yours. The fierce foe he fights. We have the S sound, the sound of Scorpio, the sound of the snake, that powerful Michaelic sound out of the zodiac Scorpio. And remember, we learned how to do the S like this, up and down. Our first image was of having snakes. But now we're going to have a sword for the poem. Take your right hand alone, and we're going to go as if you're swinging your sword up. Right hand with swinging. Take your left hand and do the second S with this hand. Sword. He, both hands together. Right. Fun, huh? Let's try again. The with swinging. Sword. He smites. Again. With swinging. Sword. He smites. Again. With swinging. Sword. He smites. Again. With swinging. Sword. He smites. The dragon, dark and dread. And with this, we're going to cover that dragon up with earth. We're going to, like it says in the myth, the dragon is sent to the earth. The dragon, dark and dread. Again, the, push him down, drag and keep him down, dark and dread. Again, push. He wants to pop up again, but you won't let him. The dragon, dark and dread. He's in his place. We can say, hail the triumph of the light. And with a T on top. Good, let's do that 2 more times with lots of power. Ready? Hail to Michael, brave and bright, who loves and lives in the light, the fierce foe he fights. With swinging sword he smites. The dragon, dark and drear, hail the triumph of the light. Standing straight, standing tall. Yeah. Good. Do that again. And to some extent, we can accompany those strong words with the feet as well. So we begin with a hail above our heads. Hail to Michael, brave and bright, who loves and live in the light. The fierce foe he fights, right arm, with swinging sword he smites the dragon, dark and dread. Hail the triumph of the light. Thank you. And now let's end our class with a wonderful hallelujah. Excellent for all seasons. Will you join me? I purify myself of everything that hinders me from looking upon God. I open myself to the Spirit and I let the light of the Spirit flow through me. I cleanse my feet. I cleanse my knees. I cleanse my lower body. I cleanse my heart. I cleanse my speaking. I cleanse my thinking. I cleanse my whole self. Stand at the threshold to the spiritual world, asking for help. Cleanse my spirit seeing. Cleanse my spirit hearing. Cleanse my spirit knowing. I gather all of my forces. I lead them to the Spirit. From the Spirit, I receive my ego. And I offer that up to God. And the breath of the Spirit returns me to myself. All right. Thank you, dear friends. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for your help. A pleasure to be with you. Anything that there was of not pleasure is just on my end, embarrassing and sad, but thank you for sticking it out with me and doing this wonderful work together. This last week, I heard a webinar from Dr. Rentea, very interesting, about vaccines and COVID and treatments, and nonpartisan for whether one should or shouldn't, but all the different kinds of treatments accessible through anthroposophical remedies. And he spoke there in a wonderful way about how whatever we do, we need to heal the patients with spiritual work. And that can be meditation, can be spiritually created medicine, and of course, indispensable is the gift of Eurythmy. So thank you for offering that to yourself. And I look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you, Michelle, for being my intrepid. Right?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
You are ever so welcome, my dear.
I know. Thank you, everybody.